When she spoon and like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful black moment. Did we get any of those in this episode?
Black.
We have a chaotic vibe moment of the
Chaotic vibe moment. And you're watching Black by Reality.
Black by Baddies.
And those who love us.
Hello, you are watching and or listening to the Black by Reality podcast, a podcast for Black by Baddies and those who love us. I'm your host, Nicole Weaver, an entertainment writer currently writing at Pop Heist, and I'm here to continue our recaps of Love is Blind Season 8. I am once again joined by my co-host for the series, Princess Weeks. Hi, Princess.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. What a season of Love is Blind to have to actively watch, because the desire to fast forward was so powerful.
I know. Even when I watched it the second time around, I'm like, I'm sure I can. I was like, no, because I know I wasn't paying attention to these dummies the first time around like that. So, but we're here, and there has been some interesting updates in episodes 10 through 12. And we got a teeing up of one of the ceremonies. So we're almost at the finish line.
I know, inshallah. Happy Ramadan. But I'm just like, I have this sense of dread. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because we've been talking about the lack of diversity on this show.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I get it. Because when I watch these families and meeting the families and like going through all this stuff, I cannot imagine getting to the altar and not being sure if my partner is going to say yes or no. I think that it's actually what's happening. It's not like a diversity. It's the ancestors stopping us from embarrassing ourselves in public. Because I feel so much anxiety for, like, for example, you know, we end this series of episodes with Sara and Ben getting ready to like possibly get married. To have all that stress be there for the public viewing for like as long as we have a public viewing, that's crazy. Like this social experiment does push you, and I'm so scared about what's gonna happen.
Well, I did write for Pop Heist about the casting for this season, and mostly what the showrunner Chris Collins said. I think they really struggled. They really struggled with Minneapolis, and like you said, it's some of the people of color in that area absolutely were like, and you will not. But here's the couples we do have. I guess we can start with the one, they're not even pretending like they're not going to get married. These two, Taylor and Daniel, our Christmas couple, they go putt-putt. There was really no conversation at putt-putt. I was like, okay, we're just dropping in on them. They have a Christmas photo shoot. They are talking about favors for their guest at the wedding, which I don't even think any other couples have ever talked about party favors, because most of them are not having parties.
Yeah, these two are getting married. Like, these two are unequivocally getting married. If there was a victory for white people on this show, it was definitely them, because they are equally yoked. And I think that they have just gone above and beyond in getting their families on board. I think that whatever reservations that I think many of us felt like Taylor might have had at the beginning, I think that Daniel has been like a category A simp in the most positive way.
Yeah.
Like he is like, this is my wife. This is the mother of my children. He's 10 toes down. And in this society of dating, I'm just like, let's learn something from that. Like, he came intentional. And I think that Taylor met that when finally it came together. And I think the fact that their families have been so committed, and I'm like, love that for him.
Of course, they also have to try on wedding dresses. The first one, Taylor's mama was like, put those girls away. So she went back, and it was the same kind of cut. She really wants a cake topper, and I think she looks great.
Yeah. I loved I think all of the dresses. I think that Sarah's was my favorite, because I love a lace and I love a little side shoulder. But the girls were eating. And they all look stunning.
Yeah. I do not have a picture from their ice skating date, but they did that and she was very comfortable on that ice. She was like,
Yeah.
"Don't give me that louder. I don't need it."
She's like, I'm grown. Yeah, everything about them has been like, we talk about how boring this season has been. And I think that with Taylor and Daniel, it's not that they are boring, it's that like their relationship has very little conflict in a positive
Mhm.
way. And then
Mhm.
everyone else is having no conflict in a very boring way, or like trying to avoid conflict by not having conversations. And so we as the audience are just sitting here like, there's conflict here if someone would address it. But with Tanya,
Yeah.
it's like to have one couple that's so doing well and then have all the other couples either be clearly a walking red flag and then like, circling the flags, it's just very exhausting. So whenever they turn them, I'm like, finally some peace and quiet.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, ugh. I wish they did find new things to at least talk about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just, but we're really leaning into Christmas, keeping it light. They want a
Taco
Hallmark.
Bell. Yeah,
They want a Hallmark movie out of these two, so that's all we're going to get.
they're gonna get those
Um,
endorsements.
should we talk about Monica and Joey?
I am shaken that Joey is not on board. I was like, Joey, what are we doing? Why are we playing with this beautiful Aries woman's emotions? I'm terrified. I'm
I
terrified.
I think this is so interesting. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So Monica gets her sister Nicole out. Apparently, Nicole is a photographer. So they're doing engagement photos. Thought the engagement photos were really cute.
They were
But
really
then
cute.
afterwards, we have to get to brass tacks. All right. We got to
Mm-hmm.
talk about this. So Monica tells Nicole that she was quick to judge Joey. Nicole admits to not being nice and apologizes to him. Joey says that his intentions are pure, and he asked if there was anything about him that put her off. All of a sudden, we're talking about energy. And honestly, I didn't think about it until now because I watched a YouTuber's recap of last season.
Mm.
But remember how Marissa got dumped allegedly over
Oh,
energy?
right, because her energy was freaking out Rat Tail. Yes. Wild season of television that was. Ramses.
Yeah. How I don't know how people lean on the energy thing. It's like I don't want to say anything that might be too personal and cutting. So it's just, your
Energy.
energy. But your family has energy. You guys came out with the bongos night
Listen,
1.
y'all are dancing and playing things. And like Monica has had so much energy with Joey the entire time. And when the
Tiring.
sister was like, "Oh, we're nappers," I'm like, listen, as a napper, I just came from one earlier today. I get it. But when you have someone who actually gets you motivated, like you go through, because sometimes the napping is depression. Have you ever
Yeah.
thought about that, Nicole? Like maybe it's a little bit of that depression.
It
Um,
could be. It could be. So this has been very interesting. I wrote that they didn't talk about the real issue because I'm still wondering after this meetup, does Nicole still want to be the first person in her family to get married or not?
mhm,
Because that's very real. What is going to be the fallout if these two say I do? Is it
right.
that now my relationship with my sister's forever going to be rocky because I didn't prioritize her
Her
feelings about
feelings.
that? Like, I'm like,
I wonder if that was probably an off-screen conversation. The thing I'm learning about Love is Blind that is really like bothering me is how much stuff off the camera they allow. And I'm like, this is already a super invasive show. Like, what is the standard for privacy that we're allowing people to have? Because like I want to see what's happening.
well, this is budget. But yeah, they're very strategic about when they have their conversations. But I do still feel like anything that was brought up on camera should be like then fair game to follow up on.
On
Because
camera. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, for me as a viewer, I'm like, Nicole, like this wasn't about energy. This was literally about you feeling a type of way of like your sister jumping in line
Yeah.
for marriage. So she also claims that she was protecting Monica, which I'm like, no, you're not. You're protecting yourself.
Yeah. And I think also to that point, I think like when we realize that Joey has doubts, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like, and I think that that's part of my issue as well, is like, if we had more indication that he felt that way before,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But whatever edit they've been giving these two has been so of them like communicating, talking. And again, like I said, I do think that they would be better off like dating for some more time to get over certain humps, but they have not presented it in a way where it feels like Joey's upset about something or like they haven't shown them in conflict about internal issues.
Yeah.
So for him to be like, I'm not like, I'll be 100% and I'll know at the altar, I'm like, but Joey, why don't you know now? Like, what's the problem? Like, and I what's the problem? Don't make Nicole right all of a sudden, because this is giving not good energy right now.
Exactly. Like, is Nicole actually right about something? It's possible. So really, at the end of this, Joey has to tell these two sisters to hug. He said, "You guys never hug."
He's doing therapy for this family. They got to keep him just for that.
I really wonder if it's the family situation, because he said in an interview, and I'm sorry, but I forget with who, he said in an interview, like, the relationship that Monica has with her sister is very different from what she said in the pause of just like, we're best friends. He's like, I am best friends with my sister. We move very differently. Hopefully at the reunion, we'll get some answers.
I know.
But after this, Joey tells, his friends he won't be having an answer until the wedding day. I also noted Monica's sister is not at this wedding dress shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that, and I'm just like, the saltiness.
It could be. I'll
she could be working. She could be working.
She could be working.
We got
There's
9 to 5.
Conflict. Who knows? But I was like, this is something else that I think Joey would have noticed. Okay, so the last date was at a conservatory, which this is so cute.
This is so pretty. Pulling out her pillow.
Monica wears her reveal dress again, and they start talking. Now, Monica claims she's been holding back because Joey has said that he's not 100% sure and won't tell her till decision day. Joey says that they can go snorkeling one day because she didn't get to snorkel in Honduras, but Monica playfully and honestly, she was being real, because all of us has done this at some point. She said, "Oh, don't say things because I'm going to hold you to them." And I'm like, okay, but can we still snorkel together if we're not getting married?
Right.
Or is it like we're breaking up if we're not getting married, Monica? I want to gauge you on that.
I find myself having so many questions because I think besides Taylor and Daniel, Joey and Monica was like my number one, number two. I was like, they are so well matched, and I just wonder when the doubts are happening, or if it's just that the rush of the premise of the show is what really is a thing. Like, I can see them continuing to date even if they don't get married. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to get up there and be like, let's just keep seeing where things go.
Yeah.
It's like, let's have the conversation like before we're at the altar, dog.
You're gonna want to warn somebody if you're gonna move forward.
Yeah, and Nicole will drag them. I think too, Nicole will drag that to filth.
So I also wonder if the living situation, how that's going.
Yeah,
we really teed up. He has a very different outlook on cleanliness than Monica.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, the crotch spiders are haunting his dreams. He wakes up, he's just like, I can't. That's what's keeping him away. He's like, but can I? I don't want Monica to be embarrassed and have her sister be right.
Oh.
But I do think that they would be better off continuing to just date.
So like, there shouldn't be any shame. Like, I know it's probably natural to, but if it doesn't work that day, I mean, do not marry Joey out of spite of this sister.
Right.
Don't do it to prove a point, because guess what? I felt like Ashley was trying to prove a point last season, and look at how that played
what
out.
happened. No, you're so right.
Should we get into the Dave and Lauren of it all? Because that hot mess.
What an embarrassing state of affairs. And also, whoever decides to date Dave after this, good luck. I don't like, you know,
luck.
I don't think that even Dave, like, and I know that Dave and both Lauren have posted onto their like profiles, and like the empathetic part of my brain is like has been like really arguing with the part of me that's like, but this is reality TV and it's kind of just the name of the game, of being like, this is probably gonna go down as one of the worst edits for a character. And I don't know if he's aware of that. You sound so evil, like the worst kind of evil, like a benign ignorance of how douchey you are. And I don't know if that's worse than, like, I know that there was that one Indian guy a couple seasons who was like,
oh yeah, Shake.
And I'm like, but I think Shake knew what was up. Like, he knew what he was doing.
Shake also was very, I think, honest.
Yeah.
As well. Where again, Minneapolis looks so repressed. Dave is being repressed and how he's acting out in this, and it's making it even worse. Like, Dave is giving people pleaser, but like you said, Princess, who is being pleased?
Who's being am I just a slutty person who has slutty friends? Because I can't imagine being this upset about someone sleeping with someone before doing this experiment. Like, I can empathize with it because everyone has different boundaries, but then just break up. Like, why are you dragging this out? Like, you are allowed to feel that way. If that's how you feel, that's valid. But why are we dragging this out? Why are we letting your sister and your friends drag Lauren through the mud? And then you mad at her daddy because he's looking at you, know that you a scrub because he can spell it on you? Like, what are we talking about here? It's just really exhausting to watch, and it just makes whatever point he might have about his own boundaries just feel like manipulation.
Yeah. Well, this is purity culture, right? Like, it's giving purity culture. It's giving a woman who's had any agency over her intimate life is not to be trusted. But we'll get into it. So Lauren said that Dave stayed at his friend's apartment. His phone was off. We're getting green text bubbles.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it.
She and Dave saunters back at 2:00, like the next day. So he claims that when he was out with the boys, pod people were out. This gave me flashbacks to freaking Virginia and Jeremy. And I was like, guess what? Lauren said, not on my watch, Sara Ann, because she went out too. She wasn't sitting at home.
God bless her.
This Sagittarius went out with the girls. And he was like, oh, you went out too? He was real surprised.
He's so weak. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand him. He's so territorial about her. And to me, and maybe I'm delusional, the commenters can tell me because they disagree with us all the time. I read the comments. If you are on this show and you're dating multiple people with the intent to marry them, is that not just as bad as sleeping with someone before you go on this experiment? You're literally going back to back. You had two women, and the only reason that you ended up with one is because they made the decision, not you.
Yep.
Like, you were playing in these women's face actively with their hearts and with their intent to marry. So why are you sitting here acting as though your farts don't stink? To me, that's worse. At least
about rings
and talked about rings and then lied about it in 4K. At least Madison gave the boy the bear and was like, this is my man. Sorry, Mason.
Yeah. Molly was out as well. He's like, oh, I turned down meeting her. He wanted a pat on the back so much.
I know.
She was like, whatever. I was out too. Like, I was out with some of those girls. Like, I would have known something. He asked for her help on how to answer her dad's questions about why he's being strange. And she was like, let's workshop this. I was like, let's not.
Yeah.
Leave him to his own devices to answer those questions because he's the one. If you had it your way, you would have done it. This is not a joint decision. Let him answer on his own. But Lauren is just so nice. Yeah. And he still bites her head off for it later. Now,
it's so startling how he wants so badly for her to pull the plug on this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And even like later when he talks to Molly, he's like, I don't want to. Usually I'm the one who has to do the thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You have bullied this girl to tears
Mm-hmm.
at a community theatre. Like after meeting her mom and negging her there, talk about how she boring and she ain't cute. And I'm like, first of all,
He
Lauren
has to stop with that. He
has to stop. What are you?
It's the most waspy thing ever to have an issue, but you can't man up and say what the issue is. It's just not done. But then you make passive aggressive jokes or you make passive aggressive comments. It's like you don't like her. Just stand in that, dump her, and go on your merry way
Leave her alone.
to whatever bars you like going to and just continue living your life like you always intended, because you promised your sister you weren't going to take anyone home anyway.
Crazy work to admit that. Also, I gotta say, Dave's sister, please come to the red table or whatever, because I'm like,
never.
He is using your name for all of this bullshit,
and that's how you know he ain't nothing. Because why is she in it? She's not on this show. She has apparently refused to be on the show. And I wonder if he even asked her, because this is my thing. If she was to go on the show, she might contradict anything he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
We're only hearing it from him that this is a big deal. Lauren said she wrote this woman, this sister, a letter, and he refused to give it. Now you know he's hiding his sister for some reason, because his sister probably don't care.
Or if she did meet her, if she met the sister, it would change things, because then she's not like some random girl who's gonna steal my brother. But if you feel that way, it's Lauren, who is cute as a button, and you're just sitting here like, I don't understand. Like, apparently some nobody contestant on the Instagram was like backing up and like, oh, any man with values would feel this way. Is that why you got no screen time? Man of no value? Value? Like
values. You guys also love that word. We know what your values are. Like, ain't valuable.
You're on a dating show. You're on a dating show and you're like, our values, you're on a dating show.
But that's like what the fiscally conservative, socially, they want to be in. They want to be cool. They want to act like they're down, but then they're not. When it comes to their money, they're not. They want people's money. Ben's mega church wants people's money, but they won't say, hey, we don't like gay people, because they can't trick them into tithing.
So glad that she was finally free. Him getting so drunk.
Oh my gosh.
Was so bizarre. And like clearly like just like with the coat looking like, Orlok from Nosferatu, just like with his goblet. I'm like, my brother, go inside.
It was wild because Lauren's mom's like, hey, do your family want to meet like any of us off camera? My husband's not here, but we're still trying. And Dave is just, he has no real good excuse.
Well, you understand, his family don't just meet people.
Exactly.
They don't just meet people.
What a clown. What a clown. So, and later on, their last date was supposed to be bowling. At this point, after Dave says that terrible line, they're like, well, we got to really talk. So I guess they went to this like movie theater part.
Community center thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dave, Lauren stood strong. Lauren's like, you're going to dump me? And she was like, if you don't want to do this, tell me. And then he's like, well, I don't want to do this here. Okay, we found a room. Let's get to it.
Mm-hmm.
This man sucks, because then he tries to pin things on like, how dare you make me meet your dad in this situation? And
it made him stressed out.
Does your dad know that you're a little slut? Like, he was so close to saying that. And it's like, yeah, my dad does know, and he loves me. You know what? It actually gives Hannah Brown on The Bachelorette I don't know if you ever saw that,
Uh,
but one of her men who supposedly was Christian was like, "Oh, we're having fantasy dates," and it's right before theirs. He's like, "But we're not going to do anything because you're a Christian or whatever." And she was like, "First of all, I already had my fantasy date with another man, and we bone zoned in a windmill 4 times. My husband would never slut shame me like that. God still loves me. You can get in the car." And he was shook.
period.
But that's Dave right now. It's like, what do you mean to your parents know? They don't have to know to still know that their daughter's worthy of a loving husband if
Right.
you're going to be that. That man was nowhere close to being her husband. Why are you bringing it up right now?
It's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. It's so shameful. And it's like, Lauren, your husband would never make you feel that way about sex. This is a man who, when he first came into the pod, was like, I'm shallow. I like girls with BBLs and injectables and filler and Botox. And he is sitting here flushed out of his mind trying to tell Lauren that she's a bad person. Nothing can convince me that this was just not like a basic miscommunication between someone who wanted more and someone who wanted less. Not the entree. This is an appetizer, little amuse-bouche. I'm gonna go find my husband now. I get like if that might make you uncomfortable, that's valid. Break up. There was no reason to drag this out, to bring people's parents into it, to have your friend slut shaming her, because all it has done is made Dave, his entire friend group, his sister, his family seem like puritanical assholes.
He is a coward. He's a coward. He couldn't just stand in, this is what I believe. It had to be all these mysterious people behind a curtain that he'll never bring out to speak for themselves. He's a coward.
And, oh, sorry, can I just add one more thing? And just because you've shown this picture, none of his boys held his feet to the fire for a little bit of anything.
No.
Not even a little bit. And it's such a stark contrast to Molly, then eventually being 10 toes down for Lauren and being like, well, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, the inability of any of these men to like tell him like, hey, you're literally, not even have to shame him, but to be like, you're gonna let your person go over something so like this. It's just weird to me that no one had like a come to Jesus moment with this man to be like, don't you think you may be tripping a little bit?
I think most of them agree. I think what have we seen from these men that they wouldn't agree with what
that's especially Uno and Dos, the two closest to him, with Devin and Ben. You know, it's also just like, it's just so frustrating.
The one thing that was like semi pushback, and it was hardly even that, is that Dave flat out admitted it, that he didn't want it to seem like his decision. And Joey was like, well, even though your decision, it's like, own it. Just own it. That this is absolutely on you. And you dragged it out. You could have done this much earlier. Whatever. So in the end, yeah, we finally get Molly back. I mean, did you expect that this meeting was going to go this well?
I hoped for it, because I did see the TikTok of them all hanging out. And so I was like, I'm team Molly Lauren. I think that's cute. I love it. But I was just so impressed by how Molly handled herself. And I think that people who doubted her intentions, I think they walked away realizing that like she meant that full way, because the way that she came for Dave, girl's girl.
Yes.
On point. Like, and I think also how she handled trying to tell Lauren about like, hey, I saw Dave with somebody, but before knowing that they were broken up, just being like, I didn't want you to think that I was being jealous or weird, but I just was like, if no one told you, I thought you should know. Elegant. Well done. Better than a text. Better to do it eye to eye so that you can see intent. And then also by her now, after all of this, that we have the footage of her going to Dave, it's like Lauren will at least leave this experience knowing that she made someone who is really her friend.
Absolutely. After she kept quiet the whole time that she was also seeing Dave, like, Lauren, you have lessons to learn from this, but we're still rooting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're able to joke that Molly was like, I looked at his selfies on Instagram and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, Molly said skirt, and Lauren was a little hurt, but I was like, but Lauren, it's okay, girl. That's what makes Dave's pressuring of this moment also so aggravating, is that we know how badly Lauren was like, this is my husband, I'm gonna throw Molly under the bus, like, because that's my man. And so for him to act like, oh, how could you, like, you don't even know what she did for this. She like, she stooped to conquer your ass, and you did this to her. It makes me so mad.
So luckily these two have broken up. I'm happy with that.
Thank God.
Squared away. Let's get into Devin and Virginia. Oh my God. This is a slog. The only upside is being able to look at Virginia in these scenes. Oh, and her mom.
Her mom was so beautiful. So Virginia's just light skinned because both her parents are Black. She made that sure that was very clear. She made that very clear.
Okay. Yeah. So Devin, he gets to meet Virginia's mother, who is a politician.
Yes.
State Representative Mary Frances Clary.
Oh, yes.
We looked into, Jordan. Jordan works in like advocacy and stuff. So Jordan was like, let me see the record.
Let me look it up. I'm looking it up right now. I'm like, oh yeah, from Minnesota House.
Yeah, she's really into unions, Black Indigenous groups and stuff.
Oh, we love to see that. That's why. So Virginia, you can't marry this man.
No.
Virginia, you can't marry this man.
Her mom had such a great balance of just being excited, happy, but also slipping in those harder questions. And I loved it. So Devin, he says that he just wants to make Virginia happy. Her mom calls her stubborn. Virginia says she argues her point and it's okay to discuss things instead of argue. Devin says that he isn't worried about Virginia's parents being divorced because she's close to both of her parents. And Devin wants to put God first in their relationship. So I don't think any huge red flags.
It went smoothly, and I think it inspired Virginia to then go and ask more questions later. And then we really get to like break down Devin, and like, it's so astounding how like he's so passive about it, like painfully passive, like as if he doesn't want to make her upset. It makes it feel like she's a parent trying to get her child to communicate with her. And it was just like, that's one of the few times that their age difference, their like educational difference really became like a glaring part in their relationship.
But I think he has a white mom. And as we see with all these other white people, when they talk politics, they get scared. He's acting like them. He's mirroring that. And it's like a lot of coded language of just, my family votes in the way in their teachings. And it's like, oh, okay.
But even the way he was like, well, my dad's Black. And I'm like, but that's not actually the point though. Like,
yeah.
Yes, like your dad is Black, but that doesn't mean his politics are rooted in like how his Blackness works politically.
And he wasn't saying that.
Yeah.
This is the part where I think Virginia did touch a sensitive topic for him, because her whole thing was, well, Black people tend to vote Democrat, which they do, but there are still Black Republicans.
Yeah.
And from him hearing that, of course, his first thing was like, well, my dad's Black and he's Republican. And it's just like, yeah, your dad's an outlier.
Yeah. But also it doesn't explain, like he keeps bringing up his faith, and it's like Biden was Catholic. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like there are religious people on the left. It's one of those like weird false dichotomies of like, oh, we're voting with our faith. Virginia was bringing that up. Like, I'm religious, I vote with my faith, and I'm a Democrat. So like, it's not just about faith. It's about larger issues, and like talking about abortion, which she was bringing up, and gay rights, and him just kind of being like, well, I think like they have rights, but like the father should also get to make a decision.
Patriarchy.
And I'm just like, so caveat.
But that's where I'm talking about. That's such white culture of like coded language. Because it's like, yeah, you voting with your faith means nothing. But for them, it's the coded language of like, we're all the way over here and we're leaning. Like religion is such a cover for that party.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so not about religion, but it's the cover that then, I mean, yeah, we just saw this on White Lotus season 3.
I mean, and we love a White Lotus. It's just one of those things where it was just very sad because Virginia is so invested in him, and like the way she was acting all cute when he gave her that basketball and the jersey, and then finally signed the prenup, and she looked beautiful. Black Barbie dressed in Bacardi, girl. I was like,
the wedding dress, it's so sparkly and big. Virginia starts crying. Her mom loves it.
I know.
I'm just like, you're gonna look beautiful no matter what.
I know. She was just
sick of her.
It was giving Meghan Markle. I was like, let's go. Her hair is pressed. She don't wear no bonnet to bed though, but she probably doesn't show that part of it. But like, she just looks so beautiful, and I'm like, I don't think Devin is a bad person, even though obviously politically we don't vibe. I just feel like whenever they're talking about stuff, it's clear that they're not on each other's level of what either of them really want to be. And I have felt that way since like the tattoo moment. Felt like I'm like, you guys are on two different like emotional levels, and it's not about age, it's about where you are like financially, professionally, you know, politically. It's just on two very different places. And as physically attracted as you are to each other, that's not enough to make up for the fact that like it's not clicking.
Yeah. And it could be immaturity, but I'm on the side it's like also very much culture. Like I think he's biracial, and we're seeing like non-Black culture. Black culture, we talk about politics any old time. Nobody is the boogeyman. We don't act like Voldemort. We're not going to talk about that. The way they like, some people who are like Republicans act around Trump, and like the whole, are we really going to talk about Trump? It's like Voldemort. Like we don't talk about that in mixed company. We only talk that behind closed doors where everyone agrees with us.
Right. And it's also like, but you voted for him, so like clearly you must believe in something he's doing. And they're like,
yeah,
we didn't say that.
and I think there was also conversation about Virginia and whether we're actually fully getting who Virginia is in these episodes. And some people really feel like she's muted because Devin's muted. And again, I'm like, how much is this? Is like that Midwest depression? Because her mom calls her stubborn. We haven't really seen that. But then Virginia, when she starts going on about the politics, now I felt like we were really, because she's cracking jokes.
Right.
It's like, so we voting for the same party or doing different things when we get in that booth? This man does not give a straight up answer for anything. Yeah. And that's that culture of like, we don't talk about such things.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about it because it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, but it is though, babes. They just are not politically, economically matched. And I think I think that she would resent him and he would resent her. And I just think that they're better off trying it different places. Go back to church, Devin. Go back to church.
Sadly, Devin would just go along with it though, because he is that passive person that you talked about. But no, it's like so not the right thing. Devin does eventually sign this prenup. This prenup situation was never the drama. This is like producers doing, and it's like, producers, why did you need this so much to be the story? Like the family had some questions, but then they were so over it. But then you brought up the prenup like 3 or 4 separate times, and he just signs it eventually. They say the same things over and over. Like Virginia has to make the same uncomfortable like joke over and over of like, I'm not trying to clean you out.
Right. And it's like, because you're the one who would get cleaned out.
Exactly.
It was exhausting because it was just kind of like you said, like a non-issue, and just didn't really do any help to like make them feel stronger as a couple.
No. So I think we're both on the side of they're probably not getting married. But let's talk about the appearance of Brittany, because she did come. Brittany,
yes.
She came back this episode and the group situation, and she gets to talk to Devin. She said that she feels like it was very immature, his response. She was like, you told me a secret. I told you something that wasn't a secret, but it was just a vulnerable moment of trusting you, and you like
Turned against me.
freaked out. And she's like, it was giving immature. She said to his face he looked like a kid. He was like, oh, I'm taking multiple hits
Yeah,
today.
it was boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, yeah, indeed you are.
Yeah.
It's what you deserve.
Some people have had problems with her calling it immaturity instead of just like straight up biphobia. What do you think?
I mean, I think that it's not those things, you know, like I think obviously it's homophobia, but I think that we are seeing from this environment that Brittany is also still kind of going through her own queer journey.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe to her right now at this point, she isn't ready to say the word homophobic because she's still not considering herself that way. Because like she even says like everybody's a little bit gay, which is like, you know,
Not true.
not true. But I think
You
she's
are though.
you are. We saw you with Kalani. I think she's still coping with her own labels,
Yeah.
and that's why she's putting a little bit of a barrier between that. But it is immature still,
It's
like because he himself could not admit that he had a serious problem with it, in a way that was just like that's just not for me. Which, you know, contrary to what people believe, when you reject a queer person because of them being queer, we actually don't still want to date you. It's okay.
Let's get to Sara and Ben, since
Oh,
that
Lord.
also has some gay-ish in it.
Mhm.
All right, these two start off at this coffee shop. The social media stuff is still going, but we're settling it right now. Ben says he's confused why this woman is upset, and he only cares about whether it's going to affect their relationship. Sara, she's doing a lot of toe stepping, line stepping, because she's like, I never want to discredit a woman, but at the end of the day, it was 4 years ago, which I think that's valid.
Yeah.
You could be a different person from 4 years ago. But where the discrediting part starts to conflict is that she says, you know, more people can come and they could be making things up. It's like, girl, now you're casting that doubt.
Let's not go backwards. You know, that's the thing about like every conversation between these two. I'm just always like, Sara, can you stand on business or not? Like, and let me tell you something. Like, her sister and her sister's partner are the only ones who got. I really want to know what Sara thinks to the response of what's been going on. Because I feel like this is going to be one of those moments where she has to really ask herself, like, am I really as much of an ally as I think I am? Because because she, to be quite fair, this relationship is failing her sister and failing her partner. When she said she was fiscally conservative, they were both like, girl, what do you mean by
I
that?
couldn't really read what the response is because we can't pretend like there's not white lesbians running around with that kind of politic. It was obvious that Lisa's the sister and her partner's Kelsey. Kelsey was the more outspoken, and she seemed like, I want to clarify. So you're saying you deem yourself fiscally responsible, conservative, socially liberal. And she was like, yes. So we are aligned on some things. And then she was like, okay, well, I'm navigating this probably a little bit more different. And here's the thing. I think Sara loves her sister and cares about her sister.
Absolutely.
Does she care about the rest of the community as much as she thinks she do? Like, her allyship is very much concerned about her personal life rather than like the grand scope of things.
Yeah, it's because she won't investigate things. You know, like people have pointed out, like white women are very likely to move in the direction of their husbands in certain ways. And just the way, like when she does go to like the church episode, for example, and she's actively disassociating. And then she goes to Ben and is like, so do you know the policies of your church? And he's like, couldn't tell you a single thing. And she's like, well, I don't like that. How many times are you going to have this conversation with him before you realize that like he is not progressive? He is not liberal. He does not care about gay people. He does not care about women's rights. He doesn't care about George Floyd. Like when he actually had to have his actual friends there for his fitting,
I was like, who are these?
It was the white men that we knew were supposed to be there the first time, like
surrounding this one brown man.
This is the truth.
This is the truth. These men, like, this was so wild. So yeah, and like Sara, when she was later talking about, I want to bring you to Pride, straight women. This is where I'm like, it's not about you. So much of this whole situation has so been about Sara when it's like not about you. I do not care about you straight women who think you're allies, like trying and begging for your boyfriends to come to Pride. First of all, of course Ben's okay with going to Pride. There's beer there. Like it's a party to them. Yeah. But the actual like meaning of Pride, of remembering our ancestors who have died and like fought for our rights, like talking about the legislation that's still affecting us, he's not going to care about that. He just wants to party, have a good like Instagram pic, if anything, and then move on. Love the sinner, not the sin type ish. And it's like, Sara, this is where I'm like, your allyship, you're not even thinking of like what putting a man like Ben in that space could mean, because you're just like, but he's so nice and he's just so, he's not harmful, he's just ignorant. It's like, no, the same way that mega church, which it is a mega church, he was on an offshoot, so that's why it's on a screen. And
also a mega church where the pastor is wearing track pants. Please take me home country road. Like,
that's why he feels so comfortable, that the man who's preaching has all that power looks just like him. But then you can't look for what their actual
politics are,
values, since they love the word values. If you can't even stand beside your values to put it on the internet to easily look up,
right,
keep it. All of y'all are cowards. Ben saying he doesn't know is probably a lie. Like, they're all lying to get by because they still want to be socially accepted, because that adds value to their lives.
They're all lying to get girls. Like, I think that's the thing that's so jarring about this whole thing, is like all these studies keep coming about how like conservative men all these studies keep coming about how conservative men overall do enjoy dating liberal women because they want to break them down. They want to move them closer. They're also more sexually open. And they also like don't ask the men to perform gender in the exact same way. So like by subjugating a liberal woman, they feel liberated, because and I'm just sitting here and it's like, what's not clicking? And this season has been such a study in that, because he could have found somebody more conservative in those pods.
Absolutely.
We saw it honestly with the love triangle with Meg, Madison, and Mason. Because Mason's whole reason he ended up with Meg is because he got hypnotized by nipple piercings and lost the plot and decided to try and do this whole shenanigans when you knew you and Meg were both listening to Joe Rogan. Like, why are you even letting this happen? I'm not looking. I think that dating is hard already, but this kind of like extra dose of manipulation of like, you are really willing to like sell your faith down the river just to get a wife, on Ben's perspective. Because if you love God so much, you're religious or spiritual, however you want to call it, you go to church every Sunday, why don't you want a partner who wants that too?
Why don't you even want to embrace the word religious? Like, I think because it puts off certain people, so you want to say faith, but it's like, but you are that. You are that. Like, just own it. And that's why I feel like they'd be so jealous of people who can just own their stuff, like queer people.
Yeah.
What do you mean that your church that you're going to is preaching well if you have a trans kid? Loving them isn't just validating them. It's like like that's how kids get sent off to these like horrible like camps that are just abuse and trying to brainwash and trying to repress. There is one more couple that came back for the huge group party.
Speaking of
Meg and Mason, we're gonna just be real light on it.
like the power of Joe Rogan brought them back together again.
Right. They come back, they like tell this story. You could tell they think it's the cutest thing in the world.
She's like, I was never gonna text him ever again. And I was like, where's Mason? I'm
You
like, girl, we know.
absolutely were. It's Madison who wanted you to never text Mason again, but you were trying to fight her on that in the moment she was saying it.
Hell yeah. Like, we were there. Like, that's the thing too, is like they try to lie to us. So like, we saw it, right? Like,
they found each other, they started messaging. They're friends taking it slow. So they're not even like
dating yet.
Yeah, but they seem happy. I think they tried to make it seem like Madison was being shady, but Madison was mostly dragging Alex, which is warranted.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's basically it for that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I feel like the Alex stuff is interesting because I feel like people want to dislike Madison, but then the more stuff that's come out about Alex has made it very much like, maybe we should recalibrate who people think is the villain in this situation.
I have honestly been questioning if I want to continue covering this show. I already felt like this show offers a certain caliber of women that these men are like, they just take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of done with systems that really funnel straight women to straight men, because it's like they don't deserve. And then on top of this, with the Alex allegations, which at this point they are just allegations, but I'm just like, okay, then he gets platformed. He gets to look good because he didn't have to go through the whole entire process.
Right.
And they even used him before the last season. He was there at the reunion as like, oh my gosh, Minneapolis is coming up. So they had like all this faith in him. Who knows who gets to come across Alex after that and they get starry-eyed because he's been on Netflix once. Like, that's on them.
That's not only is it on them, but like the fact that they keep saying, like you said last time, that they don't hold back from people who've had bad dating experiences. It's like, this is how you end up with this. It's not a healthy environment for a store. You have to have lines. Like, doesn't make any sense. And you're not only putting women in danger, you're putting younger people in danger.
Let's say Alex hasn't done any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just a person who attracts such allegations, because I'm sorry, that's not normal. Of all the previous 7 seasons, this has never been a thing. So I'm not saying that this is commonplace with the show or anything.
Yeah.
But just taking that extra time and money, because this is what it is. Everyone's cutting corners because of time and money.
Yep.
But if you took a little more time and money to talk to some people, you need references. I need references for a job, then I need references for the job that is this show.
Hello.
Even if they pay so little, it's still a job. It's an entertainment job.
They are like literally using their lives as entertainment, so they should get compensated for that, especially they're taking time off work. Like, it's not an easy gig to be that emotionally vulnerable and then also have it be broadcast for people to see.
Even if you're an employee for 2 weeks, you're an employee. Like, people love trying to be like, this isn't a job, it's reality TV. And I don't know why people are so invested in their reality stars not being compensated like it's a job.
Yeah, it's weird
but
to
it
me.
Is.
Yeah, it's like, even if you don't like reality TV, it's like, it's still setting up. It's still doing stuff. It's still having to like have producers be on call for the thing. Like, it's still all like work.
Wrapping up this recap. Since we talked about so much gay shit at the end, should we start off with that? What is our chaotic bye moment of the episode?
I mean, I did just love Brittany's return and being like, oh, you're immature. I was like, we love to see it. Just like everything about her coming into herself and like coming in with so much confidence and like, but still like being able to put a little bit on his throat. I was like, beautiful.
I agree. This was so good, so great. I'm also enjoying how she's just enjoying the season. Like it's just so hard to find black women actually having like
Fun.
laughs. She's joking about like all her wine glasses that were in the pods and she'd just
Mm-hmm.
be holding them in her new TikToks and reels. And yeah, she just seems to be having fun. I love it. And I love that she said that. So hopefully people think about that for my chaotic bi moment. I'm gonna say Kelsey because you know Lisa, Sarah's sister, she was raised in the same home as Sara and is like not that outspoken, where Kelsey is gonna go in. That even Sara seemed shook of like, oh, you don't want acceptance, then what word should I say? And it's like,
Yeah.
girl. and and
Yeah.
honestly, the most chaotic where my like my I have high blood pressure and yet I feel like this season it has been low. But once the lesbians were in that room as Sara was getting dressed for her wedding and they started whispering,
Whispering.
I was
Oh,
like,
the gay whisper,
oh,
like I think she's making this. Ah! Turn it up, turn it up.
turn it up. I was like,
that was
this
White Lotus.
is
I was like,
it is White Lotus. Oh my god, that's so spot on. They were like, I think Lisa said,
yeah,
I think I'm scared that she's gonna make a decision that everybody wants and then she's gonna regret it. And that decision absolutely being marrying Ben. And then Kelsey's just like, I think she's gonna say yes. They have no faith in this straight woman.
they really don't. And I mean, has been proven correct. You know, like they're supporting her, which is all they can do. But like, this is a mistake. And like also, even though I love a spiritual grandma, but but when Ben was getting preyed on by his family, I'm like taking my own feelings about like my politics out of it, just going to my spiritual side. When your faith means that much to you, it doesn't behoove you to have a partner who doesn't share in that love. Because like the way that how they talk to him, I'm like, these are deeply religious people. You can't be like, you're not going to be church shopping. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
When Sara was up at that altar and this preacher, pastor, whatever, told everyone to bow their head and pray, and she sat there staring at Ben's face, that's me. That is me. I'm like, I ain't doing this. Like, she is fed up. The way this woman's about to say no.
I think she has to say no. I think that like if she says yes, it's gonna be so ridiculous.
So beautiful black moment of the episode.
Let's see.
For me, absolutely Virginia's mama. She did that. Amazing. And also, I'm also eyeing Netflix because you had a whole state representative on your show and like did not mention that. But like you want these people to talk all the time. It's the way that Netflix just knows that politics is a hot button issue. So they want to get close to the stove but not touch it.
Right. They're like, we're not going to actually challenge anything, but please allow yourself to be mildly inconvenienced.
Yeah.
I think if there was a beautiful black moment for me besides that, it was definitely her putting on her wedding dress because she looked gorgeous.
Oh,
so beautiful.
okay.
Like the sleeves, the thing, the little bit of delicatesse because she cute. But I just was like, this is a beautiful bride. I hope you get to at least use the dress again.
But yeah, those are all of my thoughts.
Those are all my thoughts too.
Princess,
we're almost done.
We are almost done. Princess, where can people follow you? What are you up to?
Girl, I'm just trying not to get sick again. You guys can follow me on YouTube, Princess Weeks. I'm also Princess Weeks on Blue Sky, Princess Pendulum on TikTok. Been doing a little bit more of that. And then I'm also on Instagram as Princess Weeks. And I'm just so happy I get to talk with you. Like, this has been the best part of this process is talking to you and feeling not crazy for being like, what's
Exactly.
happening here?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that has been offsetting my like desire to rage quit this terrible series. Just like how it's being done. Like we can do this ethically.
Yeah, but they're not gonna.
But of course capitalism ruins everything, so I also have to think of that and just and I'm thinking of like, okay, if someone wants to look for an opinion that's calling things out instead of, I don't know, talking about Black women's hair, because there's also a segment of the audience that loves to do that. This is the place to go. Hope that the viewership goes up so it at least pays. At least I could say it's
Right.
It's paying work. At this, it's like, I don't know, for the hate of the game.
I mean, some haters are winning right now. I will say, like, there's a joke that says that nothing makes you feel happier to be single than witnessing your friend's bad relationship, and I have really felt that like watching this show. But yeah, this has been super fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and I'm your host, Nicole Weaver, guys. You can check my writing on Pop Heist about reality television. I did write about Love is Blind a couple of times this season, and right now we're going to come back to end the recaps for Love is Blind, and we're also talking about The Traitors, which ends this week. I'm so sad about it because it's so good. And we've had some fabulous guests from Big Brother and Survivor. So I really appreciate everyone who has come on to talk about it in other podcasts. Other than that, I will probably eventually say something about Survivor. I keep putting it off, which is bad because I'm going to be starting my job soon. So it's only going to get tighter with time. But, maybe I'll do something this week. And other than that, you can follow Black by Reality across all socials. That's a good way to know what we're doing over here. And subscribe so you can keep coming back. And please leave a 5-star review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That would be so helpful. Other than that, I hope you feel visible and stay visible today. Bye.